Alright, so this is going to be part 4 to what if Deku had Naoto's powers. So with that being said, let's just roll the intro. So I haven't posted this what if in a pretty much a long time because I was really focusing on my, what if Tanjiro had hormone powers. So if you haven't seen that already, please go watch it. I mean, it is a new kind of what if series that I wanted to do, including, the whole Demon Slayer franchise as a whole. I want to do more what ifs on. So if you're interested in that, you could go watch it, or you could tell me down below what ifs you want me to do for that particular series. And yeah, so let's get back into the story. So in the last part, we just got done with the USJ kind of attack. So in this one, we're going to go over the sports festival. So yeah, so we begin on the day that Aizawa announces the sports festival basically. And he tells the students that it's a big event and where students compete with each other to see whether or not they get an internship with a hero. And by doing this, it really helps them in the future when they want to get into the heroing business and creates pathways that they could use in the future. Obviously, he tells the students to try as hard as they can so that they could get a better chance of being in these internships, since not everyone actually goes. So yeah, so Deku obviously isn't worried, and he actually is pretty confident in winning this, since Deku is someone who is very observant of the class. And he notices that none of them can really touch him, except for maybe Todoroki. And that's because of how versatile and how powerful his ice is, really. Because of just how much space it can really take up. So, yeah. In this kind of, like a week of training, right? I believe it's like 1 or 2 weeks of training. Deku, instead of actually treating his physical body, he's just reading up on information on the different students in his class as well as others, because Deku would have gotten kind of ticked off at what I meant to say was Shinso. So obviously, just how he does in canon, Shinso would have basically told off class 1A, telling them that if they don't try, he's gonna take their spot. So that's what is really motivating Deku, because Deku, like Shoto or Shinso in this kind of scene, he's kind of arrogant. Not too much, but he does genuinely feel like he is the best out of class 1A. And because of this, he does have a higher confidence, and therefore doesn't really want to train his body, like I said before. But this idea of Shinso telling off class 1A, because if you don't remember, Shinso is in general studies, not even a hero course. For him to say that to, class 1A and to Deku himself, he is confused and he wonder why he's doing this. So obviously his quirk has to do with something that isn't physically strong, but it might be useful in utility or utility based kind of power. That's what I'm trying to get at. So Deku is kind of worried about him, or he is suspicious of Shinso is what I'm trying to say. And with this information that he gets, he gives this information also to Monoma. So he gives this information to Monoma because it would give him the best option or the best outcome, because Monoma needs to know how their quirk works to use it efficiently. Because if he copies someone's quirk and doesn't really know it, then it's going to be kind of hard. He needs at least a visual representation, because if he doesn't know it, it's going to be hard for him to really control, if that makes sense. It's not like it's a requirement, it's just something that would help. And he could come up with strategies because of that. So Deku lets Monoma, I keep saying Moneta. He lets Monoma copy his quirk for him to train with, because, like he said in the previous part, Deku wants someone that could be just as strong as him, so that's why he picked Monoma. So Monoma gets a pretty good feeling on Deku's power and really how to use it. And because of this, he gets better control over it and has it for a longer time. So from what I read from the comments and a couple of my other what ifs, Monoma's kind of quirk ability, or the ability to copy, only lasts for 5 minutes. So in this one, let's say that it lasts for 7 minutes instead. And yeah, so after that, after the 2 weeks are over, Deku basically comes back pretty confident in what he knows, because he would have done a lot of research, not only in Class 1A, but also on the other classes, especially the general studies, for those who are actually trying to compete with Class 1A, especially Shinso. So he would have figured out Shinso's powers based off of them not really being, it's not like they're private, like let's say their quirk is. It's not really private. I think it's as public as their names, basically, so you could look them up and get their information, since everything is categorized in My Hero, like it's all written down somewhere. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyways, so the day that it starts, Deku would not do the speech because that speech is required, or it's for the person who got the best score during the entry exam. And Deku took the recommendation, so he's not there. So Baku is the one who actually does the speech. But before that, Deku is in the changing room with the rest of the class, and Todoroki actually comes to Deku, basically saying, I don't like this arrogant aura that you have around yourself. You always think you're so much better, but I'm the one who's actually a son of a pro hero. And that doesn't mean much to you maybe, but it does mean I'm gonna win. And this makes Deku kind of he raises an eyebrow, and he's kind of not really mad, but a little bit annoyed. And he looks Shoto, or Todoroki, straight in the face, and he says, you're the only one that I really need to watch out for. But even then, you're not really much of a threat. I'm gonna win this, and it's gonna be boring, since the only one that could really even match me is Monoma. And he needs my quirk to do it, so what chance do you have? And this gets Todoroki he makes this kind of grunt in anger, but he doesn't say much because he doesn't want to escalate the situation. So he leaves and he turns around, and Bakugo just goes up to Deku and he says, hey, I heard what you just said. What do you mean Monoma's the only one that could even challenge you? Have you forgot about me? And Deku just pushes him aside, kind of shoulder bumps him, and says, no, I haven't. I just don't care about you. And this gets Bakugo even angrier. And obviously, they have bad blood between them ever since middle school, so it's not like they liked each other in the first place. So they go out to the field, and this is where Bakugo does his speech, and where he basically gets everyone to get angry at him. Obviously, the speech would be basically the same, but instead of being this kind of monotone kind of voice, more unenthusiastic kind of voice, it's more of a kind of angry, kind of malice kind of voice that he has on, and that's really what the main difference in this. So after that, Midnight would say go, and they would all rush. Because Deku did a lot more research and helped out Monoma would tell Deku that you don't really have to try for the first part. It's only until the second event that you actually have to try. So Deku doesn't really try too often, or not that much, obviously. He doesn't really care about making too much of a spectacle, at least now, since he knows he's gonna win. So what he does is he barely keeps up with the rest of the class. He's probably in 5th at this point. So he continues going behind both Todoroki and Bakugo, as well as a few other people, just so that he doesn't stick out too much, so that people don't really overestimate him. It's only until the bombs and where he actually tries a little bit, but not too much, as I said before. So with Bakugo and Todoroki really fighting each other, they aren't as fast as they could be, so Deku has to slow his pace down quite a bit. And as he sees other people trying to go past both Todoroki and Bakugo, he would take them out by kind of pushing them aside, using his blood as more of a blunt object than a sharpened one, if that makes sense. Almost like a bat or like a staff, just so that he can keep himself in third place. So yeah, after a while they would get up to the other side and beat Bakugo and Todoroki, going at full force towards the finish line. I think Todoroki would win. I think he has the speed advantage in terms of using his ice, then Bakugo using his explosions. Then Deku would have just ran as close as he could without actually getting second place, and with this he would get third. With being third, he isn't the prime target. Instead, it is Todoroki. So yeah. Alright, so this is where I'm gonna end it. I know this video is short, but I am gonna do other videos, so hopefully you can look for those in the future. So with that being said, let's go over our patrons over on Patreon, or patrons over on Patreon. Sorry, I get that confused, but anyways, if you want to get these videos early, you can go on my Patreon at ComicSans, or patreon.com/ComicSansTheMan, and there you can see all the videos early, and you have a chance to being in a monthly raffle where I choose one person from each tier, and they basically get to ask me what they want to be drawn. So I guess I'll show some right here, and if you want something like this, then you can go to my Patreon like I said. So let's start off with our gold tier. So in our gold tier we have Lyko and we have Isaiah Perez. In the platinum tier we have Pandaman 8. So if you want to join them, you can go to my Patreon. So with that being said, please comment down CS so I know you support the channel, and if you want more videos, please give it a like, and if you want to see more of my content, subscribe. So with that being said, this is gonna be the video. So yeah.